We are live.
Hello, welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 345. I am Otto, and tonight I'm joined with Jared,
Hello.
the loose electron, James Babb,
All right.
and there's Alex, looking pretty dapper with his haircut.
Hey
must
guys,
say.
sorry about your mic, Babs. We're another week of hate crimes.
Well, at least we know who to blame now. The post
Yeah.
office.
Yeah,
So
What happened? What did the tracking say? You guys, it
Said
doesn't-
tracking
it was delivered.
tracking says delivered. So that means that it's probably just another postal theft.
Yeah,
They're
you gotta
looking
call,
They
man.
usually
You
just
gotta-
look for jewelry, but now they're, I guess, microphones.
you should call and try to see if you can talk to somebody. Good
The
luck,
Postmaster General.
Yeah.
And speaking of
Wanna talk to
Postmaster
Biden.
Generals, K-Wags himself is in the building,
Hey guys, happy to be here tonight.
yeah,
the
man.
virtual
the,
building.
the Fab Five is here.
Oh yeah. All we need is the auto blow and we'd have our full logo.
That's right. R.I.P.
I'm just
Yeah.
here to get my deposit back.
So we're fresh off the weekend. Me and Alex, we went to the Duncan Lemp rally in Rockville yesterday, which was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. How was that?
That was great. We had about
20.
less 15, 20 people there,
It
which
was
was pretty
cold.
good. It was fucking cold.
And the forecast
Yeah.
was
Where
not
was
looking
it?
good leading up. It was
This was
it
in
outside
Rockville.
the murderer's house?
Well, one of them. Well, some of the murderers' house. We did it in front of the courthouse because it was a busy intersection right in the heart of
Right.
Rockville, Maryland.
Nice.
Tons of traffic go through. Because at first I was a little apprehensive about doing it there because I'm like, well, this technically the Rockville has their own police department. They weren't the ones who killed Duncan Lemp. That was the Montgomery County Police SWAT team who did. So I was like, maybe we should go protest in front of there. But then I looked at it like on maps, Google Maps, and it really wasn't a good spot for us to protest. It didn't seem like it was a busy enough road to get people's attention. So we ended up going to the courthouse, it was a great spot. I mean, tons of cars coming through. Got a few people
Nice.
asking us what it was about and everything.
yeah,
Nice.
a couple
Well, that's
people.
the important part is that you got something together and got out there and,
For sure.
let people know about it.
It was
There's
positive.
very little awareness of Duncan Lemp, I would
Exactly.
guess. Very
Almost
little.
zero.
Yeah.
There was quite a few people. There was one guy rolled down his window and he asked me, what were the circumstances? Tell me about it. So there was a couple people inquiring or looking into it. So if anything, we're getting the word out. So because it was buried, it was right. You figure yesterday was a 3-year anniversary. Once COVID's hit, there was nothing in the news cycle, and they weren't going to cover that story to begin with, even given a normal quote news cycle, especially during COVID times. That
Was
was
he
right at
sleeping?
Yes.
Did we
he was-
establish last week that we don't know the names of the murderers specifically or the people that
Nope.
were there?
there.
Nope.
Yeah, that's never going to be released.
No video exists. No one's ever been held responsible. We don't know
But we
anybody's
don't even know
name.
their names. We don't even
Nope.
know the names of people that.
Nope.
Nope.
Not
There's a
one
SWAT
name.
Got to be
team.
some. What about freedom of information? Does that not extend? that?
I remember hearing a reason why, and it might have been something like it's an ongoing investigation or something. So, or something along those lines, or they don't have the names. If anyone wants to correct me in the chat or any of the commenters, they want to let us know. But I'm almost positive that there are no names, nothing.
Did they have a
has been
warrant?
released. Yes, they had a search warrant, but see, they won't even tell you
Who
why,
signed
because
the warrant? Let's hold that
that I
person
don't know. That would
responsible.
be
See, yeah, I think at least start with the person that says no. You can't find out who that is. Like whether it's the police chief, whether it's somebody like, start. I mean, if there can be more actions, it'd be great to shine some light on those bastards personally, make them feel it directly. Like put a name on the criminals. Instead of letting them hide behind Montgomery County, blah blah blah. Like call them out,
no. You're right.
let them
You're
know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to look this up because I just casually have been following this since it happened, and I know from I know personally that there's like the police, like they didn't have, they don't, the SWAT team doesn't have body cams. So there was no footage of anything actually happening. They released like a few clips, like a few like still shots, I believe, last year of like the setup of what everything looked like. But it was after the shooting happened. But people were, I mean, his girlfriend was in bed with them. They were asleep in bed when the cop like shot through the window and killed him.
How can that possibly ever be excused? What was the excuse they had? They feared
They
for their
said
lives.
that
I thought it was booby trapped, right?
Well, no. That they found out after they entered that it was booby trapped, but it was booby trapped with like a shell on the ground. So when the door opened up, it would
That's
go
just a
off.
noise
Not
alarm.
Them, as a noise alarm, not at anyone.
Wow,
entering
it
the
sounds
room.
like they're paranoid, like they thought the police were out to get them or something.
Right, exactly. So what they did was, I think when he might have, I guess the excuse was they had him in their sights through his window, and when they were entering the house, he might have rustled around from the noise and just like shot up, and when he shot up, they shot him. That's what I believe happened, because that's kind of like if you pick up the dots and the crumbs of what everyone says, it's like, yeah, he probably woke up when he heard a noise from like a SWAT team entering his fucking house, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's moving."
But he didn't. Not that it wouldn't be entirely entirely like understandable and permissible in my eyes. But he didn't have a gun in his hand, right?
No,
it's not like he woke up, like grabbed a gun, pointed it at the officer or whatever.
So they said that he went for his gun.
Okay,
but if you see the screen, from the video, the gun's nowhere near the bed. It's on the other side of the room. And he was laying in bed when he was shot and killed. So
yeah,
to me, it sounds like they saw there was a gun in the room, and they're like, "Oh, if he moves, he could go for that gun." And as soon as he heard something and maybe rustled or turned over in his bed, like they just went ahead and shot and killed him. Just quick trick,
I think you're going to have a lot of trouble getting justice in this case because there's no video evidence. It's just the police's word against, what we think happened. And it's like Ray Rice, right? When Ray Rice punched his fiance in the face in the elevator, the Ravens were like, we don't know what happened there. But once that video came out, all of a sudden they were scrambling. So when you don't have the footage of what happened, it makes it difficult for you to hold those accountable or to get people upset or angry or anything like that. Although that, they didn't have, I guess with Breonna Taylor, we didn't have the full video of that. And that one was one where we did get some justice, I think. I could be wrong about that. But, that one went, caused a lot of outrage. But it also helped that she was not the target of the, the SWAT, right? They were going after her boyfriend or something. And so that helped.
Yeah, it also helped that it was right in the hot, right in like the whole what was this happened before the Derek Chauvin what was his name? George Floyd. Like it helps that it was a woman, it was a black woman. What the warrant wasn't for her. It really, like, those circumstances. And here we are in Maryland where it's just like, oh, a white guy who's kind of like
a white gun nut.
Yeah, right wing,
heterosexual, cisgendered male.
Like, if you guys read the Wikipedia, it's nothing but like a hit job on him, like post-mortem. They connect him. If you read the Wikipedia, they connect him to things that just, they're like, well, he liked the Proud Boys website. And they're known to be affiliated with Nazi and far right wing groups, and you're like, what? Like, what?
That's how they justify it.
Yeah,
that's how Wikipedia says. So don't go to
according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, right. Read Jim Bovard's articles on Duncan Lemp, because he really did the best job of reporting it. I'm looking at one of his articles right now, and he was describing the report, and it said the members of the raid team did a break-in rake on Lemp's first floor bedroom. Standing outside the house, one officer used a fireman's pike tool to break the bedroom window closest to the bed where Lemp and pregnant girlfriend Casey Robinson were sleeping. The tool also has a hook that is used to grab a hold and pull away the blinds so the officers could have an unobstructed view, I guess, so they could murder him. Once the window was broken and the shades full, of course he's going to wake up at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, so once they pulled those out of the way, the other officer ducked below the window line as he was unarmed. The second officer, the shooting officer, see, they don't even get a name. Why isn't he Proud? Who was armed with a rifle, then stepped up to the window, looked inside to locate Lemp as soon as possible and prevent him from having time to access any weapons. Blah, blah, blah. Now, what if this had gone another way? Like, what if they had, say, instead of being 4:30 in the morning, maybe around 9 o'clock, just knock on the door gently and ask politely to speak to him, right? What were they even doing there, right? Like, they had questions.
That's how the FBI approaches Kyle Wagner here. They knock on his door and he invites them in for coffee.
I know they could have had coffee. Yeah. They could have had cookies.
I did not serve any coffee, for the record.
Kyle, we should have sent you along with your pals to go in there and be like, look, we'll go in, we'll talk to Duncan. He might have a cat. We could pet his cat. He'll invite us in for coffee. We'll have a sit down and we'll negotiate this. But yeah, but no, it's sad.
Well, evidently there was some kind of a report that he had illegal weapons. I guess they got a tip,
but
he bought it legally at a gun shop in Rockville.
It's legal, but they said so. This is what's bullshit. They said, well, technically he had something on his record, but you can't see it. When he was a minor, that prohibited him from having guns. But if it prohibited him having guns as a kid, why is that still grounds for a warrant now? When you sold him the gun, you knew he had the gun legally. I think he said he purchased it a year before, and they said they still knew he was buying guns. And
so what actually prompted? So this was a red flag.
Yeah. Someone.
Well, it's more than just this. According to Bovard's article, says the police were tipped off by a quote unquote confidential source that Lemp possessed firearms and quote had made anti-police statements in the past.
Okay.
So literally everyone on this podcast.
That's why I said we are Duncan Lemp. Like, literally, this could happen to any one of us. Maybe not Kyle. But
maybe Kyle's pretty clear, but anybody else?
Come on in for coffee, boys.
They'll be like, wait a minute, this guy's got really great cookies and brownies, guys. Like, we should maybe we should knock, see if he's got anything for us.
They came because someone commented on my comment, commented under my comment, and threatened law enforcement. And that was why they were concerned. I found it interesting that there was such a quick response to a threat against themselves. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a threat against a civilian that they care about, but when it's something against them, they're very quick to show up.
Yeah, the gang, that seems to trigger the gang.
Or when there's an active situation, they're also not as quick to show up.
Yeah, and the guy was making a comment.
It really hurts their feelings. I think it hurts their feelings when they hear anti-police rhetoric, right? Like they get a little teary-eyed, and they're they think they're out there just trying to. I don't know what they think they're trying to do, but they're just trying to get home.
Just trying to get home to beat their wives,
It wasn't even a real threat. The guy was just talking about a hypothetical, revolutionary scenario in the future. You know?
He said something like, He was like, I fully expect to be shooting policemen with machine guns or something like that.
Within my lifetime. He said within my lifetime. Yeah. Okay. They took that as an act of threat, or somebody reported it or something. Who the hell knows? But
you were below his comment, correct? And
he was below mine.
Ohio, or
he was commenting on Kyle's original comment.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was also in there.
I was also
in that thread.
Oh, did you give that comment a thumbs up? Maybe that's why they came to your door. You liked it. You meant to give a laugh react, but you accidentally hit the love react, and now you're under.
You meant to give a care react.
Jared, you were in the thread too.
I was on the
remember
thread.
You were worried.
I was worried because I was in the thread. I didn't say anything like that. I'm a little more careful than saying shit like that on Facebook. But I said something that was like I don't even remember. It wasn't. But I was in the thread, and they went to Kyle's house, and I was like, "Shit! What if they come to my house and I've got things I need to hide?" So I started hiding my things. Luckily, they never showed up.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't do the bacon rake or what was that thing called?
Yeah. In my like basement, in my basement
Rake and
room at the
rake.
time. Yeah. Just like blast out my basement window at the time and just
Fucking hell.
It was an
slide in.
interesting point that I was making in the thing to Arvin. I was, I'm a supporter of gun ownership. And I was saying that they often, the 2A people often use it's for a revolution as one of the defenses for the Second Amendment. In case we need to overthrow the government, that's why we need guns. And I was like, that's actually not a good case for gun ownership. I was like, you're actually hurting the case for gun ownership because we don't want a violent revolution. We don't want, people shooting at law enforcement. So I was like, that's actually a weak argument for why people should be able to own guns. And that was my point.
I don't know. If you read like Gulag Archipelago, remember how they like lamented not attacking the agents like when they started coming from them in their houses. I think that is a good argument to have guns, is it because they eventually will come to your house and drag you off to the Gulag.
Not to stray too far from the topic, but it was kind of interesting. Being on the Mises Twitter, I see all these statist fucking politicians, and they're about to pass some of the worst fucking gun laws in Maryland, and yet they're celebrating Harriet Tubman this past week. The past 2 weeks and everything, and it's like, like celebrating all our accolades and everything, and then it's like, but they'll never mention like, how was she able to free all of these slaves and take them up the Underground Railroad and go through, how was she able to do this? Oh yeah, she was armed. They'll never
and breaking the law
armed and taking nude pictures.
Well, no, we established that was not her in those woodcuts. She did not pose for nude woodcuts.
But yeah, I just find it like these fucking gun grabbers. I'm so fucking sick of them. And then
But who cares? Who cares?
Well, I know who cares.
Cody Wilson made their argument like you don't even have to pay attention to them anymore.
Right.
Ghost gunners are not affected, right? Just make your own guns, 3D print them, mill them on a ghost gunner, do your own thing at home, whatever.
But it was cool. But I say all that to say we had some good reception at the rally, but we were in the epicenter of shit lib gun grabbing, like potential individuals. Like if they actually read the Wikipedia article, it was just a total Southern Poverty Law Center fucking hit piece. But they will actually justify and probably say, well, he had firearms. The police, they will probably think like, well, that was justified for the police to carry out these acts.
Did anybody argue with you?
Thank God they got this dangerous person taken care of. That's the way they think.
But Jared, I'm sure if there was it was so damn cold and it was a lot of dry, and it's in the like there wasn't much going on like walking or foot traffic. But it would have been interesting to get into conversations. A couple people, we got some ugly stares from people in vehicles, but then some people probably inquisitive and looking into it. And like I said, there was one guy rolled down his window and we had a conversation while he's waiting at the red light. But
I had a conversation with someone.
Did you have any geoengineering signs?
No, not like the rally guy, the guy at the Rage Against War
I had
rally.
my book of stamps and letters proving that
we gotta have
nation or whatever.
We gotta get him on the podcast. I got his business card. I'll reach out to him.
Dude, we need to just have we have to have a special conspiracy theory episode.
We should, because
just get all the kooks that we've met along the way.
Kyle, I think you met him. He was the guy. He was like that old guy with the boomer New Balances, and he had the blue. And he was this old guy handing out, and he had the sign "Geoengineering is real," and he was going deep into it. And it's like, sir, this is an anti-war rally. Yeah.
No,
like,
I think they seek you out, Alex. I didn't run across him. They see
he was
you
down by the porta potties. He was down like towards those tables, down towards the end. Yeah. But he was there the whole day. But I got his card. But I mean, I was like, I agree with you. But right now, I'm just worried about like ending World War III. Like that's like low on the totem pole to find out what they're spraying up.
Technically, nuclear winter is geoengineering.
Right.
When you put it that way,
it's fair.
Yeah. It was cool. I liked it. It was really cold, but our guy Brian was playing the Scott Horton episode with Jim Bovard talking about Duncan Lemp over the loudspeaker we had. So it was funny. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And he made some handmade signs and everything. There's some pictures. Maybe I should post them up. I don't.
Yeah,
didn't post them
I got
them
pictures here. Let's
Yeah,
see.
if you
Share
got
'em with
any
the
on there.
class.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
We should
I'll
get Jim
find 'em.
Bovard back on the show as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
was
he was
your
going to
race?
attend, but apparently he was. I don't know. He was out of town, so he wasn't able to. But
He did say, "Watch out for the spooks." You know.
yeah, he was like, they're going to be, and there were some cops. Like we got buzzed at one point.
Oh yeah.
There was a white SUV sitting, and you could tell it was a cop. And they circled around, and it kind of circled around when I got out of my truck and was walking like a block down. And then there was a state cop that went around, unmarked, all black SUV that drove by twice. He was a state cop. And then another about an hour later, and this was when Brian was playing the Scott Horton Jim Bovard interview, and a fucking Montgomery County sheriff SUV. So the fuckers that carried out this SWAT raid drove by, and you just wonder, like, you know, they might have heard about. Well, I'm sure. I mean, we posted it everywhere. That
Or
we
they're
were
just being
attending this
road
rally.
pirates.
Yeah, or that. I mean, but there's some pictures there, Jared. There's some pictures of the crew there for those watching and tuning in. But yeah, it was a good turnout, and the fact, like, the thing is, it's awareness, because this happened right when the China virus completely shut down Maryland. So this was not discussed or talked about or anything. I mean, I don't even remember, and maybe Kyle or Otto, did you ever see any news reports or anything from local affiliates when this happened?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
nice picture.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a few. Yeah, there was a few more, but they left at that point because we kind of stayed afterwards. And some of the signs we had, it said, you know.
And Irene came down from Delaware.
Yeah, we had people from Virginia,
from Liberty
Delaware,
Speaks,
DC.
and yeah, dude from Richmond came up, like, fucking based. He had that sign, and you know, when people are waiting at the red light, they're able to read everything. And
Yeah, there I am. Yeah, me and
Yeah.
Brian right there. I'm
Yeah.
holding up
You're gonna
two
have like
signs.
a justice for Duncan Lemp sign, like justice for Duncan, something like that. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
So it was
Well, we had
go ahead,
so
Otto.
it says his name was Duncan Lemp, and then it was like released the video, even though there's no video. Then it says red flag laws or police murder, and
Yeah.
then Brian had the sign that says the Constitution is dead. And it says
Who
Duncan
made the
was
red
in-
flag laws ones? Those look kind of nice.
It's not
Travis.
Travis.
Travis. He's Meecock. He ran for
Yeah.
state. He got him from some company, but yeah, they're real. So it's like, hell yeah. And red flag laws. This is the whole reason they executed this. It's because of red flag laws. Some fucking Karen can just make a phone call, or anybody, and just dox you or rat you
Call
out.
it an execution.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
Alex's sign. Like, what did you forget the C? And then you were like, "Oh shit!"
Well, dude, I did it with a permanent
was-
marker, like one of those big fat permanent markers, and I think
Yeah.
I started getting high, and because
No, you know what was one thing I'll tell you guys about.
and I
the
was trying to do it. I was doing it last minute because, like, Brian wanted to make more signs, but it was so fucking cold this weekend. So when he was trying to spray paint them in his yard, he was like, "Dude, the paint's not fucking sticking." And so I was like, "I'm not gonna be able to have time to do it or have a place to do it." So it was like last minute, one of those big fat Sharpies, and I think I was getting high. But I kind of wanted to make the A more into an anarchy sign. But yeah, it was totally
Brian-
last minute.
when
Yeah.
Brian showed up, he went across the street and he was handing out the signs, and so I'm watching him, and he gives out the sign to our guy Doug, who was standing there, and Doug holds it up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was like, he forgot to put an N on Duncan, and so it's just said Duncan Lemp. And I was like,
Wait,
dude,
at least you
I
tried.
pointed to the N. I was like across there. I was like, dude, the N. And he looked over. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I like the
one
sign
job.
that says, I like the one that says Duncan was killed in bed at 4:30 a.m. as
Yeah.
a sign. That really
Yeah.
gets right to the heart of, like, you can't say, like, that's right. Like, there's just no
Yeah.
way you could say, like, that's acceptable.
So yeah, I think a lot of people. I mean, it was a busy intersection. We were once, we had a decent turnout. Once everybody kind of arrived, we were like, all right, let's go to all four corners. So yeah, people, it's just exposing this because, like we were saying, it's
you
just
see a
buried.
kid's head turn, and like there's just some teenage kids, and look, they're like, they're just gonna check their phone. Like they're at least one of them, just one time, might just say, "Hey, I'll just Google Duncan Lemp and see what this is about."
And hopefully they don't get to the Wikipedia.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, he was a transhumanist.
Let's just edit that thing. He was a transhumanist. What?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
What's
He
wrong with
belonged
that?
To the transhumanist party. I don't know.
Huh?
I don't.
What's
know.
wrong with that? I
They
think I
said
knew
he-
that actually.
Yeah. Who cares? Like, I don't know. They make it a bigger thing than they're supposed to. But it was, yeah. So it was good. It was a good time. Glad we all hung out afterwards. We had to warm up because I came prepared. I had gloves, I had face mask. I brought my extra jacket, but everyone just had like a hoodie on, and like their hands were out, and they're like, I can't feel my hands.
Was everybody strapped?
Maybe.
Well, look,
Hmm.
libertarians
I mean,
aren't
like,
used to
open
touching
carry-
grass, so
Was there open carry or?
Well, we'll
No,
see.
we're not.
Well,
Maryland, you're not allowed to open carry.
Not in Maryland, but if any Fed boys want to know that we do have a Fed boy Patreon level, so in the after hours, if you pay, we may or may
Right.
not discuss that. So
Yeah, you get to hear
$500
the story
for the
about
Fed level.
how I physically removed someone from my house, from my property.
Yeah,
I did
That-
some
that-
physical removal this weekend. You might
Oh,
hear about that
really?
in after hours.
yeah, that's after hours. That's after hours material.
Ooh,
Alex was
Yeah,
there.
that's
Alex
fun.
saw it.
Yeah, I witnessed it.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a good time.
Well,
Good time. But yeah, so
but-
yeah, sign up for a Patreon. Little $3 a month. Or if you want to do the Fed level, you get to hear all the juicy stuff for thousands of dollars a month. We need to just get one Fed level a month. Just one.
I need to just add
you
it.
guys-
Actually,
You just got to step up.
what are we saying? 1,000 or like 100?
I thought 1,000.
All right. Yeah, I'll put that up there later.
I will
informant
threaten a
level.
federal official for $1,000 a month. No, I'm just kidding. Kyle, do you have that guy's card still?
Yeah, like Kyle, how much do you need to get to talk to FBI agents like one-on-one? Like,
I do it for free, man. If they ask, and
He does it.
Give him
He
whatever,
does it
yeah.
for the passion. It's his
The
passion.
passion.
see, that's killing our market here, right? Why were they going to pay for our Patreon Fed level if you're just going to tell them all the secrets for free?
oh, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, yeah.
You just can't
No,
talk
I mean,
secrets.
They've never asked me anything about the podcast or anybody. And if they did, I wouldn't give it up for free.
Okay,
Good. I'm glad you at least hold out for some.
Yeah.
Circle of
I mean,
trust.
we all,
least
we
you can
all
be
have our
bought.
price. Well, yeah, we all have our price. Just don't sell out for cheap. You know that just makes you look bad.
Oh, but one thing I'll tell you guys what happened though, and I'm so old. I sneezed. I got to the rides with Otto. Oh, damn it. So I got to the protest or whatever, and I just sneezed, and I felt like someone stabbed me in my side, and apparently I thought I broke my rib from sneezing. Apparently it's more like
Jesus,
a muscle.
dude.
It's I think it's just like I sprained a muscle there. I think it's more muscular, but it hurt so bad, and I couldn't like every time I laugh, it hurts so bad. I could like I was taking in deep breaths, and every time I take like a deep breath, it just feels like something's like ripping. And I'm like, oh,
You're
God,
getting
sir.
old, man.
A sneeze took me down.
I mean, we were laughing at the table where we met up afterwards, and yeah, dude, you started rolling. You're like, what? You're like, my rib. I think I broke a rib. I'm like, what? What the fuck did you do? He's like, I don't know.
I did it right in front of Tim and Norm. They were as soon as I walk up to my sneeze, and I'm like, oh God, they're like, what the hell did you do? I'm like, I don't know. Oh, I'm so old. Yep, that's where I'm at right now. Some little pain. Got a lot of pain going on right there on my side.
But
We
while
didn't
that
even
was,
talk about the number one topic today yet, guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, while we were doing all that, there's Biden's assuring, the banks are everything's fine. Right,
Everything's
Kyle?
fine, guys. I don't even.
Yeah, we
everything's
should have opened the show to do our sort of our patriotic duty to reassure the American people that our banking system is totally secure and protected
Americans
thanks
can
to
have
this guy.
confidence that the banking system is safe.
Let's hear that
Americans
again.
can have confidence that the banking
Americans.
system is safe.
Does that
Well,
does that assure you guys?
It's the God's truth. My word is abide.
I mean,
That's such a good clip.
I'm so confident right now.
Yeah. I saw a quote from Janet Yellen back when she was Fed chair, like that there would never. She didn't expect any banking crisis in her lifetime, or our banks were so solid now. This was in 2017.
Oh,
Of course, now she's the Treasury Secretary, so she went from Fed chair to Treasury Secretary. And yeah, I've been glued to the news for basically like 3 days, or since Friday, because I think a lot of libertarians are like me. Like, it's a little bit like disaster porn. Like, we're like, what's going to happen next? Who's next? You know? And I mean,
Yeah.
I am. I'm like,
I mean,
this
it's
is,
going to be, it's painful for a lot of people. I don't mean to, like have Schadenfreude or, celebrate the misery, that a lot of people are going to have in this. Like when these banks go down, like there's a lot of people get hurt in the process. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know that it's going to be this as widespread as the doomsayers are trying to say. I mean, this is a bank that was primarily to fund tech startups, and tech startups are notoriously a risky thing. I mean, there are a lot of moonshots. There's a lot of, uncertainty.
Dogecoin.
Yeah. And then there's like a ton of crypto fucking bullshit in there as well.
Right.
So, and then, with the feds fucking with the rates constantly and all this, and then this was also like a bank run that was basically caused by social media. It was basically doubly fueled by social media. It wasn't like back in, the 1900s when, it was basically like word of mouth. It was like instantly on Twitter, hey, get all your money out of this bank. It's going to crash. And then it was just like a self-fulfilling
Is that how it started?
Yeah.
And
it was like people like, apparently I didn't see it, but apparently Peter Thiel was like pushing it. Like it was a lot of it. I mean, there was stuff concerning about their balance sheet. It wasn't like out of nowhere. It wasn't like they were doing fine. Like there was concerning shit on their balance sheet as far as like their long-term debt and their bonds and all kinds of shit. But
guy, like what they did was, I mean, what a lot of banks did, right? When rates are zero, you're paying your depositors zero. And you're trying to get a yield. You buy safe treasury bonds, low interest rate treasury bonds. So you're paying zero and you're getting 2% from treasury bonds. But when rates go to 5%, all of a sudden your 2% treasury bonds lose value.
Yeah.
So you're not able to sell them for as much as you bought them, and all of a sudden you're in a hole. And just because this is a tech startup bank, like a lot of banks own, I'm sure a lot of banks own these low yielding treasury bonds and have lost value on them. And if they mark them to market, if they mark them to current market prices, they're going to be undercapitalized. And that's why I don't think it's just this bank. I think this is going to affect a lot of banks. This maybe was just the weakest link in the chain. But, I think it could be the start of a cascade. So maybe not, but certainly seems plausible to me that it could be.
Well, let's remember that in 2020, they ended the reserve requirement. The reserve requirement in banks is now zero. So, what do you think's going to happen? Eventually, why would they keep reserves if they don't have to?
Yeah, and I saw Biden, Biden blamed the Trump administration. He's like, well, they loosened the rules that we had put in place with
they loosen the rules
with Dodd-Frank or whatever. And it's like the banking system is inherently unstable, right? The whole thing is built around letting banks gamble with depositor funds and keep the bare minimum amount on hand to meet deposits.
I mean, wasn't it during COVID admitted that banks do not have to have any collateral. Like they don't even have to keep the minimum, 10% reserve.
2020, right? It's fractional reserve banking. It's like you can't even call it that when it's like 0 out of 100.
There's nothing there.
Reserves.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly have to keep you have to keep at least enough cash on hand or some cash because you have to anticipate some withdrawals. But like you guys mentioned earlier with the social media, I mean, you could have a bank run where you could have 10% of your depositors or more trying to pull out their money all at once.
Yeah, it's not like they have to go. They don't have to go down. What's that? Let's all do that.
Let's do it. I'm hopefully you guys did what I did, and I immediately took out all my funds in every account that's over 250,000, right? Because FDIC only protects up to 250,000. So make sure you're not, don't have any more than that in any one account. So take a minute and maybe readjust just to be on the safe side.
So there's Jared, I sent you a video on through Messenger. I couldn't find a better way to get it to you. I don't know if you want to play that real quick. This is pretty much how I learned about fractional reserve banking as a little kid.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
It's pretty good clip. But I know our boy Jim Cramer also has a. So this is how I learned about from The Simpsons.
Nice. First Bank of Springfield.
What do you mean the bank is out of money? Insolvent? You only have enough cash for the next 3 customers. Hey,
Oh, this is the best. I love this part right here.
Just a second here. No, I don't have your money here. It's in Bill's house and Fred's house.
Oh, that is
Jimmy
priceless.
Stewart.
My money in your house, Fred.
Okay, here comes our copyright violation, right?
Yeah. Oh shit.
Oh,
That's right.
shit.
Whatever. Fuck it.
Fuck
I'll contest it. And I'll win.
Did you guys see that Senator Mark Kelly has called for social media censorship to prevent bank crimes?
Oh, that's
Oh.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thomas
Thomas
Massey.
Revealed
Ace
that.
Massey.
Yeah, so luckily our brave senators are on the case to make sure that the banking interest is protected, no matter, from pesky people trying to get their money out.
Right. Trying to
How
acquire. Like,
infuriating is that? Like
yeah.
blood boiling.
My God.
Never let a crisis go to waste, right? Oh, it's a chance to do more idea censoring. Bring it on. Like, what else do they do? When all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly.
they run a shaky system, right? They, like we said, I mean, but probably 5% of deposit or withdrawal at once would crash just about any bank. So, that's the risk you run when you don't keep enough reserves on hand.
I'm looking for a tweet from Lynn Alden, and she kind of highlighted something that I thought was surprising, is that how much what the FDIC actually guarantees. So it says, Lynn Alden said, to quantify it, U.S. banks have 17.6 trillion in deposits, of which 3.1 trillion is backed up by cash, of which less than 100 billion is backed up by physical cash, right? So there's no way the FDIC has these extra trillions of dollars, right?
Of course.
So to think like, oh, we're protected from a systemic bank run. Hell no.
Yeah.
I mean, that is 17.6 trillion in deposits that people could try to withdraw, and they're only sitting on 100 billion in actual cash. Or even if 3.1 trillion in, I guess,
Well, we're just
digital
going to have to
cash
tax
or
ourselves
other-
to pay for it.
Well, Biden was like, well, no taxpayer funds are going to be used for this bailout, right? But
Baloney.
it begs the question, like, whose funds are these that are being used? Like when the Fed
Well, ostensibly,
creates-
it's coming from the Treasury. It's some fund that the banks pay into as part of their FDIC coverage.
Okay, that's FDIC. I was talking about the bailout of like Silicon Valley Bank. They
Didn't get bailed out. They bailed out the depositors.
Well,
the depositors' money. Hold on,
They do have a
listen.
new program.
The depositors' money is coming from this extra fund that they have, right? Ostensibly, like I don't know what's in it. Could all be bullshit. It's the government, but there's a fund.
There's a different bailout, right? There's a bailout coming for any bank that's supposedly affected by this, and what they're doing is agreeing to buy assets. The Federal Reserve will buy assets from the bank, so they get to, basically, if their treasury made money, their treasury bill or their bond made money, they get to keep it. But if it loses money, they can get face value on it from the Fed, right? It's sort of their
that's a separate
backstopping or whatever. This is how we're so basically the banks now, they get to gamble, and if they win, they win, and if they lose, they break even. Is kind of the deal they've made. So, is this going to encourage better banking decisions in the future? I doubt it.
No, I mean, and that's I mean, I don't. Even if this isn't coming out of the taxpayer's pocket directly, it still sets a bad precedent for banking.
And it will come out of everyone else's pocket, at least through inflation or something. I mean, it's kind of like a QE2 or I don't know. It's over my head, but I know they're a bunch of scumbags. And they're going to do whatever they can to transfer wealth.
So what you should be doing is transfer your wealth to Bitcoin or to our Patreon. Either way.
Yeah, our Patreon.
Smooth.
We have wait a minute, hold on. We're gonna have the Patreon front level, right?
Yeah,
That'll be our new level, right? That's what we talked about.
that's the new level. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Go to your bank account. Whatever's more than 250,000 is not protected by the FDIC. So perhaps contribute that to the punk rock libertarians.
Just whatever's left over.
Yeah,
Quickly, before the banks collapse.
I don't have a lot
While
of
you-
accounts with $250,000.
I don't think most people
Jim
have
Cramer
that much
said it's
cash.
a sound investment to
I wouldn't be
invest in
keeping that
PRL.
amount of cash in a bank, anyways.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the Kramer clips? Because like every
Yes.
company that he endorses, it like
Yeah.
within a month it's done. I mean,
Yes.
and I don't know if you guys saw the one tweet he said like JP Morgan is a fortress.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh my god.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Well,
let
didn't
me get
Forbes
this one.
also name that bank as their like superstar and like
It
super
was
bank,
number
like
20.
best
I
bank?
looked it up because Peter Schiff said it was number 1 on the Forbes list. It was actually number 20.
How
on,
diverse are they though? That's what their true
Yeah.
strength is. How diverse they are.
Yeah, they have a high ESG score.
Here we go.
Best performer year to date is SVB Financial. Don't you want? This company's a merchant bank with a deposit base that Wall Street had been mistakenly concerned about. SVB, it's the old Silicon Valley Bank. Recently bought one of our favorite research firms, Moffett-Nathanson, and it's become less dependent upon private equity and venture capitalist offerings. Wait a second. Those dried up last year. They could come back. Yes, some of them come back here with the stock directly affects an oversold position. Stock was the 4th worst performer in 2022.
Do
I
people
think
really
the
pay
fears were
attention
not
to him?
justified. It's a
Right.
very compelling situation.
Non-ironically.
And by the way, long-term private equity and venture capital, they're not going away. Being the banker to these immense pools of capital has always been a very good business. Stock's still
When
cheap.
was this?
Now, you have to remember that
Apparently
a
a month
stock that
ago.
falls 66% like SVB
It
Financial
says
did last year,
2023.
oh,
So
it takes it a lot more to
Jesus.
recover. After losing 2/3 of your
Couple months
value,
ago.
you need a 200% gain to get back.
all right.
The guy is
Wow.
unbelievable.
He's just overloading you with just like nonsense, and then he's like, yeah, jargon, and then he's like, buy the stock.
And I'm watching like
Lose all your
CNBC
money.
or whatever it is the other day, and he's on a panel talking about it. And it's like, how do you listen to this guy who is so wrong so often? How is
That
he
it-
still considered a credible voice?
Right. I mean, there's funds that have been
just
set
needs
up
more
to
money.
just
I
to
think
just
that's the
bet
problem.
against him.
yeah,
He needs,
Contra
I mean,
Kramer
like
fund
public
or
schools.
something.
We just need to fund him more. If we fund him more, he'll be better.
We do it all over our society. We're like, this person is wrong about everything, and then we're like, well, what does he say now? You know, like Fauci or
Like
whatever.
Ben
We're just
Bernanke.
like, no matter how wrong, the worse you are, the worse at predicting things, the wronger you are, the more credible you seem to become.
But
It's
then
like
meanwhile,
bizarre.
Alex Jones is banned off of all social media.
Exactly.
And they're trying to take his cat.
Yeah.
They try to take his cat.
We're in the upside down. It's so true. Who the
Alex,
fuck-
dude, your impersonation of him at the table yesterday was something that made me laugh so hard. It hurt
Yeah,
my
that's
side.
what broke your rib.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex is directly
He was
responsible.
talking about, I don't know if you remember it or not, but he was,
Oh, what was it?
the Chinese
Tell me.
balloons.
Oh, what was about the balloons? I don't
You're
even
like,
know.
there's satellites who got caught under the firmament.
Oh, I'm telling you, folks, these Chinese balloons are satellites underneath the firmament. Oh, fucking no. I don't even know
Pretty
what we're-
close, man. He's got it.
You had
Telling
it
you.
so clear yesterday, and I was just like, it just came out of nowhere. It's great.
It's like a Macho Man Randy Savage too, or you get a lot of mileage out of that.
Oh man, my side hurts.
Yeah, but,
God
oh man,
bless.
Kramer's been. Oh my god, everything he says is like.
Everything.
Well, I think he gets. I mean, he's the guy they can count on to repeat whatever narrative needs to be pushed. Push whatever
They all
shit
are.
talk has to be pushed, right? But he's really committed. Like he's. I think they go to him when they need someone who's completely shameless.
Yeah, he's a committed propagandist.
How is that not
Clearly.
considered like pumping and dumping? I guess he doesn't dump the stock. I guess he just pumps whatever the narrative they want tells him to do. Just seems
Man,
unethical.
I don't know
It's
how
not
true
illegal to
this
be an
is.
idiot, right? I mean,
But is
it's not-
he allowed to give people like financial advice? Is that legal for him to be like, buy this stock? Or is he not really saying buy it? He's just like, it's cheap.
I guess it's just kind of generic advice. I guess whatever he's doing clearly is legal because he's been doing it for
clearly.
years and he's
Yeah.
been wrong for years. And yet he's still on TV. You know, it's like amazing.
It's frustrating.
Well, it's
So-
almost reassuring to know that there's some consistency in the universe, and that Kramer will always have a place, no matter how ridiculous he is. No matter it's just all part of it. It's like deny your senses. Here's the narrative again. Just.
Well, gold has been a beneficiary of this, and I wish I had bought a little bit more. I just haven't recently bought anything, but gold's up and Bitcoin's up, and anytime there's
Bitcoin
big
shot up.
losses, you can make money on it.
What's silver up to? I get
I mean,
alerts
Bitcoin
from-
went up. I mean, the past few days it went up from. It literally, I think, just like one day, it's up from like 20.
It was 21. It was up to 24.
21, and now it's at 24.3.
Yeah, I bought some today. I was like, let's do it. I'm getting back in. I'm all in.
Silver's up almost 77 cents at
Hell
3.6%.
Gold's up.
22.13.
Gold's up over 19, I think.
Yeah,
But you know what? I'm not convinced this is, the banks are failing, Bitcoin and gold are going to win finally, as
No.
libertarians have predicted.
That'll never happen.
No.
I think it might be more,
Is it not? It's
um,
indicative of the value, though, that people do see in Bitcoin now, right? I mean, maybe it's not like an entire transition, but people are like, you know what? When the banks are having a bad day, like, let's go into Bitcoin.
Yep.
You know, and
but
maybe I'll
I
keep a
think
little bit
it
more
might
in the
also
Bitcoin.
it might also be because like all of this mayhem and made people think that the Fed's going to pivot and stop raising rates, and therefore
I think they are.
That's kind of a back to assert, because that's what was killing Bitcoin and gold before, were these raising rates, keep raising rates.
Yeah.
And now people are like, okay, maybe back to risk on. Like how did the NASDAQ do?
Dave Smith and Liberty Lockpod did an emergency podcast, not emergency podcast, but they did one last night, a stream on YouTube, just talking about this. And it's, I recommend going back and listen to it, but they just
Guys with
like
no
this
experience in the banking industry.
Yeah, like SVB, he was saying, like basically they thought the Fed would pivot, and they're not. They're raising interest rates, and this is what affected, like, I guess SVB, they had a lot in bonds, and the bond rate is just so. To just what we're saying, they didn't have the reserves to cover everything, but they were making the argument, like some libertarians are like, I just want this to end, and the whole. But it's like, do we really want to go into a depression right now? Because when that happens, if there's bank after bank after bank, we shouldn't be cheering this, but this is an opportunity to educate and for us to get the fuck out of, like, and
I definitely don't want that to happen, man.
yeah,
that was like my kid. That was my kid's
'cause we're, like,
bedtime
on the
story
verge
tonight.
of
It was
World
about
War
fractional
III.
reserve banking.
Right, we're on that
Was it
verge
tough?
of World War III. Like a bank, like going into a full depression is not really good. Like we don't want a full bank collapse on our hands right now, and that's kind of the point they were making. Like we don't want to go down full on end the Fed.
Well, it's
right
not like
now.
nobody's going to ask our opinion whether the bank should collapse or not. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's going to do what it's going
Right.
to do.
If you root hard
It's
enough,
gonna
James.
happen. Like best you can do is try to profit from it, right? Or protect yourself and your loved ones from whatever mayhem is coming. I feel like mayhem is coming. I don't know exactly what form it's going to take, but I just feel like we're going to be in for some interesting times. There's going to be a lot of suffering for people that aren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
That's why we got to build our communities.
It made me think about how many different times we see where people don't have the money they're supposed to have, like FTX, and obviously the SVB and the government itself, the Social Security Fund, the Medicare Fund. Like there's so many people that owe money, that have made promises, and they don't have the cash that they're supposed to have to meet those obligations. And that's that just is very common in our society, where we have people that just don't have it. And eventually, what can happen here is, because the Fed is now up against high inflation already, they're kind of limited. I mean, they still are going to inflate, but they don't have as much wiggle room to inflate as they would if there was low inflation, because that's really their only out, right? Their only out is, we're just going to create money and bail out the banks and bail out the government, and we will just keep creating money. But when you already are fighting high inflation, like, what are you supposed to do? You're just going to make it worse. So what do you say? I'm in a depression every time I scroll on Twitter. Plant-based libertarian. Yeah, I mean, I still think that's the route they're going to take. I think inflation is the path of least resistance, and I think that's what the Fed does whenever it's faced with a situation. I think with this bank failure, I think they're going to stop raising rates. Of course, everybody's arguing, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? From a philosophical standpoint, like Ron Paul would say, we shouldn't be manipulating interest rates and creating these bubbles, jerking the economy back and forth, centrally planning the money supply. That is like a higher level philosophy that nobody on the mainstream financial media is even considering or thinking about. We're just thinking, well, what's the Fed going to do? But I love that about.
Right. It's always, should the Fed do this or should the Fed do that? Not about why is there
should we have a Fed? Yeah. Yeah. And I miss that. I miss Ron Paul's voice in, the mainstream media and mainstream politics, because he was just on a different level philosophically, which was awesome. So, but yeah, I do think the Fed's going to pause here because they're going to be like, okay, well, we really broke something now. We don't want to break it any worse. We need to let the dust settle. But I could
say
wrong.
no federal bank. I mean, or no central bank or Federal Reserve. Doesn't that make you kind of sound like an anarchist, Kyle?
No, I don't think so. I mean, but you do have to propose alternatives to say, well, what's the other alternative? And a lot has been written on those about free market money or I mean, floating currencies were almost a step in that direction, but they're still floating government currencies that are traded against each other. You have to see what people would choose to trade in without fiat currency. Maybe it is a digital currency like Bitcoin.
You sound like that's anarchist talk.
It's not. I mean, you can still have a legal system without having the government being the how's Minarchy
R.I.P. Anarchy Basement
holding up. No, the government.
Do you still? I thought we established that you've gone full anarchist. Do you still self-identify as a statist?
Yeah, for sure. No, the state sets all these rules. I mean, the state sort of creates the framework for however the society is going to be. So
it creates a framework for bank runs.
For private property, I mean, is the main thing. But they could say, look, we're gonna abolish the Fed. You can use some other form of currency as money and figure it out. And I think people
how can they run a global empire that way?
Well, they couldn't. I mean, that's the problem. It really it's not a problem, but they would have to raise taxes to cover their spending, right? They wouldn't have this outlet of just being able to create unlimited amounts of money.
Yeah, but nobody likes taxes, Kyle. You don't get to run unlimited wars on taxes.
You say nobody likes taxes, but like a lot of people do like taxes. Like
they like the idea of other people paying taxes, but they
like receiving other people's
exactly
taxes.
What you get. Yeah, right. And as tax rates go up, compliance goes down. Like
they're only paying their fair share. Okay,
without taxes,
their fair share.
Without taxes, who's going to fund the Patriot Front Nazis to protest Drag Queen Story Hour?
Oh right. I want to get to that story.
Or send fighter jets to Azov Battalion.
Yeah, who's going to send money to Nazis in Ukraine without taxes?
Do you have any of those clips? I don't.
There's one in there.
Which one?
That shit was fucking
Patreon.
Crazy.
It's below the
Patreon I've got it. Front. What are we asking about?
Well, for people who don't know, I think Saturday was a drag queen story hour in a park in Ohio. Of course, it went exactly how you thought it went. Tons of Nazis showed up. Tons of people showed up.
Yeah. Now, don't these guys look familiar? Don't they look kind of? Their motif is very Patriot Front.
Weimar conditions, Weimar solutions.
Jesus.
So it's funny so that's one Nazi group.
And this is in front of drag time. Hold on, this is at a drag time story hour.
Yeah. So what you
don't
that
shit is escalating, dude.
Yeah, I know.
These costumes are terrible for a drag show. These guys aren't even sexy at all.
So there's also another Nazi group that's there, and they join.
Is this better for children or what? I don't know.
What's better, drag queen story hour or neo Nazis?
But look,
Alex,
listen,
there's more.
But wait, there's
at least
more.
they're being COVID compliant with those masks.
Yeah.
Well,
Stop
now,
the spread.
so not only is there two, not one, not two, but three Nazi groups show up because your Fed boys, the Patriot Front, show up with their white masks and all. So this is two Nazi groups. Yeah, these two found each other and they joined.
Do they fight each other?
Oh, listen to this guy.
What the fuck? But then they zoom in, like they go back over to the Patriot Front feds.
Pedophile gets the rope. So that's their new
They
rallying
sound
call.
so grumpy. Why so?
Okay,
why
so then this,
salty?
did you notice that? Look at that. The one
Yeah,
guy's
he's got a
fanny
Trump-
pack. They have a Trump
On his-
pen patch. So tell me this isn't a Fed
That's his cell phone.
operation.
That's his like cell phone holder. But
Oh, is it?
yeah.
It's just
So this is a whole nother. This is not the red jacket people. They're over there. So the two Nazi groups found each other and joined forces.
Like that movie Step Brothers, where they're like,
Yeah.
we just become best
And that
friends.
guy's just completely committed
Well,
right
but
there with the.
We haven't seen the white
tattoo on the side
hood
of his head.
people.
Oh, there's
White Hood
more.
Are they?
Yeah.
But wait,
I
there's
want to see
more.
the
Oh.
drag show. I came for the
Well, they
drag show.
interview
They
I
him.
wanna
can't.
see
They
it.
block
see
it
him,
out
dude.
with umbrellas.
Where's the guy in the
Yeah.
chainmail?
Oh, that's in the longer video. But
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
it just reeks of feds infiltrating small groups and then making it
asked him
look
about
like
it.
it's larger groups. And then it's just, and the fact that some of these fucking Lolberts and even like Ford Fisher, it's like, oh, these neo-Nazis. I'm like, these are fucking feds. Not all of them, but this looks
Right.
I
like
don't
a
know,
fed
man.
I'd say they're probably 60% feds and 30% retarded people.
Yes.
And then or is 40% retarded people. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's all there is.
And to not see like this is an op. Like this is something.
I mean, the
going
groups
on.
really exist. The groups
They
really
do.
exist.
I'm not
Well,
denying.
Are they being like?
exist.
Are they being like prodded in certain directions to maybe do like
Yes.
domestic terrorist actions? Sure.
Yes. And
I
they're,
They
and
definitely
guarantee you.
exist. Huh?
And they
After knowing what
infiltrate them to
happened in the
organize them.
90s, after
It-
everything that happened in the 90s, I know for a fact that at least 5 of those people are directly working with the feds, or they're feeding them information.
Yeah.
They're in contact with feds. I guarantee
Sure.
you, dude.
Always feds.
This is straight out of
I'm
the
not saying it's
playbook
all
of the
fed.
'90s to infiltrate the militia movement. This is
Yeah.
exactly how Ruby Ridge started. Is that you have feds infiltrating or
Proud
working with
Boys,
these
right? They
organizations to,
infiltrated?
yes, to seek out. This is a total Fed operation. This is how the
Oath
state
keepers.
operates. Yeah, and they're corrupted. You have these organizations that are corrupted, and the thing is, like these.
Yeah, but it wasn't the
Lolbert-
feds that made them say Sig Heil. That's like their own thing
They're-
that
well,
they do.
But you
Right.
know what? The feds probably donated those snappy red shirts. you know,
Exactly.
like,
They're not. They're not doing them any favors. Let's.
Yeah, I mean they look like Patriot Front. Am I right? I mean the fact that they were doing fucking like coordinated chants, like they're
They
on
were
a
there.
what's
That's
that
what I'm saying, is,
like a high
they were
school
there.
flag team,
marching band?
you
Yeah,
know,
like yeah. I mean I've like come on now. This
So
is
when the
not
three-
your typical like come on.
Well,
the
3
fact that
people-
they're all
so-
matching wardrobe, to
Yeah,
me, just
come
reeks
on.
of
All right.
like this is
we-
like this is the Fed part of it, not the retarded part, because they're
Yeah.
like they're going to be a little more scrappy and not coordinated.
Well, what you didn't see on this, which they got to, is all these. So it was the random Nazis that showed up who had a few signs, but then it was the color coded Nazis with the black, masks and red shirts. Well, then there was the third. It was the Patriot Front people, the ones with the white mask and the,
God.
the blue
What about
polos.
Azov? Did
And so
Azov
it's-
make an appearance?
So what it reminded me of how like in Syria, where like the moderate rebels we were supporting were fighting another set of moderate rebels that we were supporting, and it was like the CIA's people were fighting the Pentagon's people. And I was like, is that what happened when these Nazi groups like met up? They're like, oh shit, the FBI's people met up with, with the FBI and the CIA's guys while it went together. It reminded me of the same thing. And then eventually they start fighting with the Proud Boys were there as well. And there was a bunch of other conservative groups, and they all started fighting each other as they were all
That's the way
protesting.
to do it, right? So you go to the guys in red and say, "Did you hear what those guys in white just said about you?" right? They called you, like they said you guys were Jews. That's what they said.
Right.
That's what they said about you guys.
No,
Like, are you going to take that from them?
And then Andrew brings up a really good point here too. This is brilliant marketing by the fucking progressive, the whole fucking drag queen story hour. It's like, all right, put these feds on the payroll to bring attention to drag queen story hour.
Wow, they're getting federal funds and they're double dipping.
Right.
Wow, that's
what
crazy.
A grift.
What a theory.
Who would think that that's where like the next civil war begins?
Yeah.
Right. At a drag show for kids in the park, infiltrated by that turns into a Nazi rally.
The first shots of the Boogaloo 2 took place
and nobody saw that
in Ohio at a drag queen story time hour.
But like
where three factions of federally funded Nazi groups took on the chicks with dicks reading to kids.
But like,
this is where it all started. Like,
and then from there, everybody took sides. A
lot of the like the leftist groups, they really want to have like it be painted in history that they were escorting children to get read by drag queens, and they want those pictures up.
Nazis.
So it's like
their big civil rights moment.
Yes, it is for them to power with their fist up on a camera, So what they realize is a lot of these events are happening in private places where people can't get in. So they decided to do it in a public fucking park when it's still winter and it's cold as shit. They have it there. They knew these groups were going to show up and counter protest. They wanted it so it'd be surrounded on all four sides so they could look like the victim. Like as much as they, those people are trash who show up to protest, but deep down, these leftist people that are in this group, they love it. They love it. They love it. It's like they get to perpetuate their own boogeyman, and they don't have to do anything other than just do what they were going to do anyway.
Yeah. Like the one I went to when and the same person filming it, Ford Fisher, it was the same group. He filmed the one that I went to and we could say this for the after hours. We already talked about it, but it's just like, there's so many, there was Maryland delegates there, 2 of them, and they were just like, oh, these hate groups, we stopped the hate. And it's like, no, there wasn't. It was just a bunch of concerned citizens that were like, I don't want my fucking tax dollars going to this shit, and furthermore, this is inappropriate. What the fuck? And they're like making it out like, oh, these conservative like black like churchgoers are like they're the Nazis. You know what I mean? Make it out like we're fighting back on this hatred. And
it's all they were getting. See, when they came to Baltimore, it was nothing but black people out there, And so they had to be like, shit, let's get this in a park in White Ohio.
Yeah.
And there you go. Got the Nazis. They got the Nazis they were looking for.
Yeah.
Well, could this have been like fallout from the train accident?
Chemicals
it's mutating quickly.
The white supremacists have mutated.
I don't know.
I mean,
is it even safe for those people to be outside?
Well, it's that white PVC acid that they burn, I guess.
Who knows? I don't know. It just seems like so coordinated and staged. It's just like,
yeah, it's all puppetry. I feel like it's like, hey, ignore the fact that banks went under. Here's the Nazis fighting a bunch of drag queens.
Right.
Everybody
look at this.
Aside. Yeah. You're either with the drag queen story hour or you're with the Nazis. You decide.
It's gonna be interesting to see how the next month plays out. Of course, we have March Madness to distract us, but
I know I need to get my brackets. Well, we could talk about that in the After Hours podcast because we record an After Hours podcast right after this one. We're even going to send it to you like live links so you can listen and comment in. If you subscribe to our Patreon for as little as $3 a month, you can get access to all the other episodes we recorded and plus future stuff. Well, like I said, we'll send it straight to your email. And if you guys are so generous, you guys can also go over to our page, PRLfans.com, and find other ways to donate to the show as well to get access to our after hours. But we also have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you'll get yourself a 10% discount. Use the code PRL2 and get a 20% discount if you spend $50 or more. And until next time, live free
or die.